welcome back, everybody. I hope everyone's having a great day, a fantastic week. Pretty good year. I don't want you to get too full of yourself. I think you're aces. Today we're going to be talking about the MANDalorian season 1. Season 2 is due out pretty soon, so we decided to do a little review of the first season. Manda's going to do a lot of the talking, much to her surprise. No, as I've stated before, I like Star Wars. I really do. But I don't know a whole lot about Star Wars. I just enjoy the laser swords and the beam guns and the really cool suits that the bad guys always have.
They do have really cool suits. Like, I don't know anyone that has ever been like, I don't want to be Darth Vader, or like, he's just too cool.
When I was very young, I wanted to be a stormtrooper so bad. Like, that's the tuxedo of space bad guys uniforms, right? It's black and white. It's classy. I'm colorblind. I can't mess that up. You get a sweet laser gun. I would have settled for like a sand trooper, even though they had that orange shock trooper thing right here.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the idea of the snow trooper, but they looked a little KKK for me because it's just a blanket basically over their head with the eyes, and they're already all in white. I couldn't do that one. I'm not going to swing that. But like the other stuff with the helmets, the actual armor over your face, it doesn't really do anything. I don't know the point of it because you still get shot and die pretty easily with lasers. We're getting off topic. Listen, it's just that I really despise how the good guys always look like dorks. They look like idiots running around with their bicycle helmets, like look like weird egg shapes.
Okay, That's fair, but Han Solo is cool, but he's semi-bad.
Yeah, here's the thing. Han Solo's really cool. He's the kind of guy who, in a space battle, can pull off a vest. That's really hard to do. Like that sweet vest he's got, that's like 90%, I think, of his attitude.
And Lando.
We can do about it. Lando's cool, but
Lando's so cool.
He wears a cape,
I want his jacket.
That's a sweet cape jacket he's got. And then Darth Vader is cool. He's a little stiff for me. Unless we're talking about Rogue One, which we're not. We're talking about the MANDalorian.
Yep.
We'll talk about Rogue One some other time. My God, I love that movie. I love that movie so much. I know people don't like it. I don't care. I love that movie. I like what I likes. Anyway, MANDalorian. All right. So, what was your first impression of the MANDalorian? Like, whenever you first saw like the trailer, what were your impressions going into it? How were your expectations met or not met?
Okay, so when I first saw the trailer, I was a little iffy. I mean, we just got The Last Jedi. Is that what came out? I think so.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. Just a little disappointed in Disney in general at that point. And then I watched it and I fell in love with it because it reminded me of, like, I don't know if you did this when you were a kid, but I didn't have a cable. Like, I didn't have cable television when I was a kid. So what we would do on Sunday nights is we would watch The Wonderful World of Disney all together. And it was like that together family moment that you're like, oh, that's what Disney's all about. And I felt this in The MANDalorian. Like, it felt like watching that 90s sitcom on ABC or something. Not sitcom, but like just sitting with your family and enjoying a heartfelt kind of show that had action. And it, you know what it really reminded me of? And I guess you're going to talk about like the Western a little bit, because I don't
Mhm.
know much about Western genre, but
Mhm.
it reminded me of like Hercules. So you have already, uh, Star Wars has this call to mythology, and you have a kind of almost Herculean hero, not like the real Hercules. We'll get into that later, maybe a mythology episode.
Yeah.
But what American Hollywood has turned Hercules into is like this good guy that goes around and does like helpful things for the people in his universe, I guess, for this
The
situation.
Kevin Sorbo
Yeah.
Hercules. Yeah.
And I mean Disney Hercules too. He would go around and save people and things like that.
Yeah.
Where this is very much like that, where you have a character who's kind of like an outsider. He doesn't hang around anyone really, and he takes it upon himself to adopt a child, which I think, I don't know if I've ever seen a show, like an action show, where this has happened. It's probably happened, but this is really interesting to me. Like, you don't see a lot of like adoption dads out there.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy how it plays out, where every episode they're going into kind of an unknown territory, and they're going to see if they can survive or not. And
Mhm.
it's all for Baby Yoda, all for Baby Yoda.
Yeah. Well, so when I first saw the trailer, I think I already knew that Pedro Pascal was involved in it, and that Jon Favreau was involved in it, and I was like, this might be pretty good. I don't know. And I saw the trailer, and I was like, maybe. You're right. The Last Jedi kind of puts like a tinge. At least at the time, that was like the worst Star Wars movie we had seen. Um,
Little did we know.
little did we. That's another video. But at the time, we were like, I've been, I'm a little disappointed in some of the things that Star Wars has done in their movies. So I don't know where like they're gonna go with this. Solo, I think, had already come out at that point. I
Yeah.
think, and I was like, it's fine. I don't know if I needed that story necessarily because it kind of changes a lot of things about who Han Solo was and what to expect and all that stuff. Um, but like this is like a brand new story. This isn't like something to link between movies. This is just kind of like an offshoot of the lore. And I was like, maybe it'll be good. We'll see. And I remember watching the first episode and really thinking like they're really leaning into this western kind of theme where he like slowly walks into like the bar, like the stranger from out of town, like the stranger, the man with no name, basically walks in, and then everyone turns around and is like, oh, it's this guy, Mandalorian. And then you get like this guy who he's a bounty hunter. He brings in people, and that's something you'll see in probably most Clint Eastwood Western movies. Is he's usually a bounty hunter of some sort. He's the coolest guy in the room. What I think I enjoyed most about it is that it was very simple in its plot. You have this bounty hunter. He gets put on a job. He decides to defect from being a bounty hunter to protect a child, an innocent being. He grows a conscience, basically, and that's kind of where your adventure starts, right? Or at least like probably the rest of the series is gonna go. Um, but yeah, I remember watching it thinking like this is really nice. This is something I didn't think I would probably see. I didn't think studios would probably be brave enough to do something where your main character doesn't really have a face, nor does he really talk that much. And you have a lot of quiet moments in there because I mean the baby can't talk either. And so it's just like these two things that don't really speak sharing camera time. but they're still communicating and they're still having these nice moments, these like heartfelt moments that don't really require words, and that's really impressive to see. Now it's kind of rare to see a show that isn't afraid to take its time and to really breathe, to let their actors, real or not, living or not, human beings or not, kind of have their moments.
And it goes into that thing that I was saying before, and I don't know if it's aired or not, but we were talking in a previous episode about Star Wars, and I've said that Star Wars is one of those shows that you can definitely just watch without the sound on, because it's so visual. You can understand pretty much, like, besides a few lines, you
Yeah,
understand exactly, like, okay, this guy's the bad guy, this guy's the good guy, they're gonna
yeah,
fight, and then somebody's gonna win. So I think that's a good move on, I assume, Favreau's part. Just let Star Wars do what it does best.
yeah,
And honestly, it's probably one of the better, like, episodes or anything Star Wars that I've ever seen, because there's less dialogue in it than anything else I've watched.
yeah.
Um, and I think you'd be interested to know that the guy that plays the Mandalorian,
Mhm.
he is actually, it's not Pedro Pascal in the suit.
Right, right, right.
This guy is the grandson of John Wayne.
Is he really?
Yeah, I think so. I Let me double check.
Yeah,
But I think his name is like Brendan Wayne or something. And I saw that and I was like, whoa, that's really cool. Because I remember you saying, like, it's very Western. And I was like, I don't know about Westerns. But sorry. Yeah, Brendan Wayne.
hmm,
It's a little piece you got to cut out. But
yeah.
so, yeah, the I double checked. The name of the actor is Brendan Wayne, and
Brendan.
he is the grandson
Mhm.
of John Wayne. So it's really interesting that they picked him, and he's such a good, like, improv. What would you call that? Like, prop artist? Is that kind of like
Yeah, I guess like
a mimic, mime?
pantomime or something. I don't know what that is, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just uh, I'm just actor, I guess. I mean, that's all it is. He's just not. He doesn't have any dialogue, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
He does everything so smoothly with his movements, and you can understand the emotion with a guy wearing a mask. So
yeah, yeah. It's very impressive, and you also have to think like, well, a lot of that's the directing, and a lot of that is like the lighting, and so much. You can tell that so much work went into it. That passionate people made that movie or that show. They cared about what they were doing enough to make it look as good as it possibly could.
do you have a favorite episode?
It's probably going to be like the last two episodes. Um, if you count those as one episode, because it's like a to be continued kind of thing in the middle of like one massive episode, that's probably my favorite, because it feels eventful, I guess, or like the most emotional probably of
Mm.
all of them. And that could just be because I mean that last episode wouldn't be as emotionally impactful if it wasn't for like the entire season that preceded it. But um just the way that like everyone is like it feels like everything's kind of like on their shoulders there at the end. And like that's one of the things I really liked about let's say like Rogue One. Where so much of it is depending on like this one group of people, a small group of people, ragtag team of plucky individuals to try to like succeed at like just one mission. Can you just make it through the next like day or whatever? Can you just make it to the next objective? Can you get just a little further? And and that's kind of what the last episode felt like. Like so many people were just doing their best, and some of them die, and some of them don't make it all the way through, and some of them do, and it's really nice to see that level of um, attachment to characters. You get really attached to those characters, and you really want them to make it. And it's nice to feel that like the writing is such that it makes it easy to care about these characters. And so for me, that all kind of culminated in the last episode of the season. I think for that reason, that's my favorite episode. What about you?
I am the opposite way. I really enjoyed the first 3 episodes where you kind of establish like what's gonna happen with him and the child. Like, is he going to keep the kid or is he not gonna keep the kid?
Yeah.
And I think they do a really good like they establish the characters very well.
Yeah.
And especially just the whole energy that's around, like, what's his name, Quill, the guy that's like, I have spoken. Like,
Oh, yeah, that guy.
he plays like the mentor for Mando in these first few episodes, and you kind of like get the idea like Mando's kind of not had, he has a code of ethics, but he's never really had like a personal ethics for himself. And that's where like this whole thing comes in, like, okay, he was adopted, and then but this is just a job. And then like Quill talks to him more, and he's like, yeah, but is it?
Yeah.
So I really enjoy how they set up the characters in the first episodes. And not to say that I don't enjoy the other episodes very much, but
Mhm.
I think when you have less characters, you get more screen time for those characters,
Yeah.
and you get more understanding and emotion for them. And it really was, in its own way, like not a lot of dialogue, but you're able to understand them just by the movements that they make.
Mhm.
And I highly enjoy that.
Yeah.
I really love just figuring out how to describe a character in the most simplest way, and how
Yeah.
well, I forget who said it, but um there was a writer that said, if you're going to have, or if you're going to describe a shotgun on the mantle, you better use that shotgun later on. So
Mhm.
it's important, I think, that there's none of this like fandom kind of stuff happening. Like, there's no, oh look, it's a I don't know, like some jazz band from the future kind of thing, like that was in episode 5 or something. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I just don't like fan service, and
Mm.
I like it a little bit, but I'd rather hear a storyline that's important to me.
Yeah.
So it I think it did a very good job doing that. And then you kind of get Tatooine, and I'm like, okay, it's on Tatooine. And then yeah, you get like, I, I guess this is a good point to talk about the episode I didn't like.
Yeah.
You get like the whole jailbreak thing, and it
Yeah.
just felt like I was missing something, because maybe these characters are important, and then no, they're not.
Yeah, so that really felt like a filler episode to me. Like they really only made 7, but the I don't know, maybe the execs really wanted 8, because there's no such thing as a 7 episode season. We can have 8 episodes. We can have multiples of 4. We can't have we can't have 7. That's a weird number. Um, I don't know what that was about, but I agree that was probably one of their weaker episodes. Certainly the most star-studded one. I mean, just about everybody that was in that was somebody. But yeah, it wasn't my favorite one. I did like the what was you said it was the 4th episode where he meets Gina Carino, the ex
Yeah,
shot.
yeah, the Cara Dune.
Cara Dune, yeah.
Yeah.
I did like that episode. I thought that was an interesting one because it played a little bit more with his character, and you kind of learn more about him and
Mhm.
how he relates to other people. Gina Carino's cool too. She seems like she could, feasibly be a soldier or an ex stormtrooper. She seems really tough. Uh,
Well,
and
she
then
wasn't a stormtrooper. She was a rebel. She was a rebel force
Rebel.
person.
Okay. Um, anyway, she was cool. I like her. I like her character. Um, I don't know why he didn't use the flamethrower sooner, uh, but whatever. There's a little tussle, and if you haven't seen that episode, I don't know why you haven't. You need to watch that. If you haven't seen The Mandalorian, stop watching this
Ah.
right now. Go watch it, and then come back and then start watching this all over again. Uh, it, I do like the fight scenes in this show as well. Like it all seems well choreographed, and the gunfights especially because it, like I said, because it does lean into the Western aspect of it. But you got to have cool gunfights. You got to have laser guns going off all over the place. Whenever they install that Gatling gun in the last episode, and they just start shredding apart the building, I was like, oh my god, this is the best part. This is the best part of it. There are a lot of really positive aspects to this, and so yeah, is it Taika Waititi that voices IG-11?
Yes, I love it. He's actually my favorite character, I think. Especially in the first episode where he's like, I'm gonna blow up, and he's like, don't blow up.
Yeah, that was a really good gag. I thought that was really funny that it pays off at the very end of the season where he blows up.
I'm gonna
um,
blow up. No, go. Okay, go do it.
um, but yeah, so like that's another thing that I that's I guess another testament to the writing is that they took something that was kind of a gag at the very beginning of the season where he keeps calculating the odds of him and the Mandalorian making out of the situation, and they keep being really low. So he's like, all right, I'm just gonna self-destruct and kill everybody. And so the Mandalorian's like, no, just let me be a Mandalorian real quick. And he takes out the guys and they survive. And it happens like two or three times, and then you get to the end of the season, and the only way out is through this bottlenecked sewer entrance where there are stormtroopers waiting for them to take them all out. And if they get taken out or if they go any further, that's kind of it. So IG-11 decides to self-destruct and kind of give himself up for the greater good for the life of the child and his friends, and he goes and he blows himself up, and it's a very touching scene, and you're like, oh, I loved IG-88, uh, or IG-11. I think of IG-88 from what is it, Return of the Jedi, or no, it's the second movie,
Oh, I don't
Empire Strikes
remember.
Back. I'm pretty sure it's Empire Strikes Back.
Something like that.
But IG-88s and IG-11, IG units are pretty cool looking anyway. They're just these matchstick looking men that have guns everywhere. They really don't have a face. Really interesting design. I'm very happy they brought in that kind of bounty hunter into this show. Kind of surprised they didn't bring in like other types of bounty hunters like Bosk. I don't know his last name. It was very popular apparently in the 80s. That lizard looking dude. Um, so maybe we'll see more of those guys in the coming season. But anyway, overall, I would say that this show for me gets. I'm gonna give it a 9. That's really high for me, but this really is one of my favorite shows, and I'm very excited to see it come back. How would it rank for you?
So for me, I think I'm gonna give it an 8 because I do love the show. Uh, but there are some like slip ups that I'm just like, why? Just like, especially that one episode, like you said, it just feels like it was inserted in there at the last minute because they needed some like star-studded cast to be in there, and
Yeah.
it doesn't flow with the rest of the storyline to me. And maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there was some crucial part of it that there's like, oh, we had to save this guy, so then he'd call the blah blah blah. But it didn't. And well, at least I didn't see it.
Mhm.
So it wasn't obvious enough for me to think that it was valuable.
Yeah.
So there's scenes like that, or episodes like that, and then scenes too. Sometimes you have like a really like, okay, was that scene really necessary? But overall, like, it's a fun show and I enjoy it, and I think it's well written of like in general. So
Mhm.
I give it an 8.
All right. Um, yeah, I mean, I recommend this show. Even if you're not like super into Star Wars, if you just like good stories, and we've talked about that before. We were talking a little bit about that earlier with the idea of fan service. What is fan service, and what's the best way to use it, or apply it? And really, if you just use a familiar name and a good story, that's kind of optimal fan service because it's something that you already know, but it's done well. Um, I think I heard Kevin Smith say that like anything you make after the first movie is fan service. Because basically it's just like you're doing it because people want more of it.
Yeah.
And the idea of it is just like, can you give me more of the same in terms of like I like Star Wars. Can you tell me a good Star Wars story? It's not just a Star Wars story. It's not. Don't just say the names and expect me to just fawn all over myself or whatever. Tell me a good story. I think we ran into some problems with the newer Star Wars movies because they were hoping that would be enough. Like, hey, we said lightsaber, so can we have a couple $1 billion or nah? You run into a few problems of just like, well, all of your favorite characters are there, but yeah, but they're not really as cool as I want them to be. The story isn't there. The reason for them being there isn't good enough, and I guess that's really the main bullet point I'm going for here is the reasoning good enough to can you justify this existence? Whatever it is, this movie, this story, this show, whatever. And I think this show does a good job of justifying its own existence. It doesn't have to hinge too much on referencing a whole bunch of stuff just to make me be like, oh, he said the name of something from that other time. They're justifying their own existence by being a well-written show, a good show, and I really enjoy it for that.
So for the next season, what do you expect to happen? Is there anything that just is like, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to this, or I think I'm gonna see this person? Your notes.
Um, so I think we're gonna see the assassin in episode 7, no 6, I think it was the
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Me Now Win. I don't remember the assassin's name, but yeah, I think she's gonna come back. I think because she does die in the same episode that she's in, but at the end of the episode, you see somebody standing over their body, and it seems like something's gonna happen. Like you're gonna Frankenstein somebody, or maybe make them more machine than man. I mean, it's happened before. You know, that's how you get Darth Vader and stuff,
Yeah.
and even a little bit of Luke. So, you know, for all I know, a cyborg version of Ming-Na Wen's going to come back and try to kill the Mandalorian. Um, really, I'm just looking forward to more stuff with. I don't remember the actor's name. The bad guy from the last couple of episodes.
Oh, Moth Gideon is the character name. I don't know the guy who plays him.
I used to know his name because he was in Breaking Bad too, and I
Mm.
can't remember his name. But anyway, he's a cool actor, and I'd like to see more scenes with him because apparently he's got a black lightsaber, and that's apparently really, really rare.
So the thing is,
Yeah,
that is the Dark Saber.
yeah.
And I don't know, I've watched the cartoon series, and it's part of the cartoon series. Um, but I don't know the full story. It is a Mandalorian art, like, what do you call it?
Lightsaber.
Yeah, it's an artifact from Mandalorian,
Oh,
and it's like passed down from generations in this one society until like I think it's Darth Maul takes it and he starts his own society called like the Shadow Collective or something like that. Um,
is it like a synth band?
yeah, yeah, it's totally.
Wave.
He's swinging his laser sword around.
That sounds like a band I would listen to. You heard of the Dark Collective? They're pretty cool. Always heard of them. Whatever.
But so he had the saber, and then it's been like tossed around to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the people that I've heard that might be in the show
Mm-hmm.
is Sabine Wren. She had the Dark Saber for a while, and I don't know, maybe we'll see something of her in this. Get some more storyline.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty interested in potentially seeing something with Darth Maul in it. Like, is he gonna show up?
That would be
Because
cool. Yeah.
yeah, he's alive, or at least like his brother is or something. I don't know, because he was at the end of Solo, right?
And oh yeah, and then I heard Rosario Dawson's going to be in there, and everyone's pretty confident she's going to be Asuka. And here's the thing: I have never watched the cartoon. I have meant to. Not once have I seen it. I don't even think I said her name right just now. Is it Ahsoka?
Yeah,
Asuka. Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
All right. I don't know anything about her, but I heard that she's the real deal with Bill McNeil. She's really cool. But
She's
I don't know.
so cool.
Okay.
So I haven't watched the whole show, and it's mostly because work and school prevented me from doing that. But Ahsoka Tano is Anakin's Padawan, and she is she's a lot like Anakin is, where she's very like just go with the wind. I'm gonna do what I want, kind of things,
Yeah.
and it draws a comparison about like how Anakin became Darth Vader and she becomes like a gray Jedi. So she's actually one of my favorite characters. If you had to name a Star Wars character, I
Yeah.
mean, it's Han Solo and Ahsoka.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So yeah,
Yeah. So yeah,
I'm super excited.
I'm kind of excited to see that, like, see what new characters they bring in and how they represent them. The first season was really cool as far as like the kind of characters you would see, and the way it wrote them. They wrote them very well. So I'm excited for that.
No, I think pretty much we've covered everything that I'm expecting. I want to see what Baby Yoda's name is.
It's gonna be like Skeeter or something. It's gonna be like Mortimer Toynbee.
What did you name him? Mortimer.
It's gonna be Jib Jib.
Aww.
Give him a real dorky name. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Okay, I guess that'll wrap it up for us, guys. Thanks for watching. Check out The Mandalorian Season 1 if you haven't. And check out Season 2 when it comes out, too. And let us know what you think in the comments. What was your favorite episode? Do you like The Mandalorian? Do you not like The Mandalorian? If you don't...
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, what's the matter with you? You better shut up your mouth a little bit. Get out of here. But leave a comment and like and also share. All right. I'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right. You good with ending the show here? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I am totally fine with it. We can end it. What is it that he says in episode? I think it's 7. He's like, it's time to put an end to this or something. Kylo Ren. Oh, I will finish what you started.
I'll finish what you started. He says it with his stupid face.
I will finish this sandwich.
Yeah. No, he's real cool.
No, he's not.
Big old dork with his super
With his high-waisted pants.
All right.
What are you doing? Nothing.
I'm flexing my pecs.